Alright, hi guys. So in today's video, I wanted to just go over how you can basically export your character from Final Fantasy in the game to then use in Blender to, use a render or make statues or put in VR chat or whatever have you, whatever your purpose is. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go head over to uh, Opera and we'll show you guys what you need. All right, so the first thing you're going to need is Metal. This is basically the plugin that allows you to export the model from the game in GLTF format. And it basically is just going to extract the whole character and any attachments that you have to it. So I'll add this in the description. And then off of that, you're also going to need this plugin for Blender called Metal Tools. I'll go to this page. Basically, we're just going to add this repository to Blender so that you can then download the plugin that'll go with it. And then the last plugin you're going to need for Blender is, sorry, not this one, Aetherblend, which basically just allows you to, pose your character, do animations and all that stuff. But it also has like, IK controls and just a bunch of things that allow you to, change how your character moves inside of Blender with the rig and all that stuff. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and head over to Blender and we'll go install those plugins really quick. All right, so now that we're here in Blender, I would just say let's install our 3 plugins first. So the first one we're definitely going to need is Rigify. So if we just go over here, and it should already be in here, built into Blender 5.12 or whatever earliest or latest version you have, should be there. So just you want to hit that, and that's basically it. I think get extensions, yeah. So go here, and then you're just going to hit this plus icon to add a remote repository, and we're going to go over here. So this one is for Aetherblend, and we'll go to the installation guide, and we're going to grab this repository right here. We'll paste that, and then we're also going to turn on check for updates on startup to get latest always, and we're just going to create. And then next we're going to do this one more time for metal. So this one is for Blender. Paste the link, check for updates on startup, and then create. So now you should have both these repositories in here. And then you should be able to search for it. Make sure you allow online access, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So we want to search metal. We'll do install. It looks like it's good to go. And we'll search for Aetherblend. Install. It's going to take just a second. And then we got that installed too. And you can see they both popped up here. All right, and for the last thing we want to do is we want to make sure we add the metal plugin to Final Fantasy itself. So just keep in mind that you need to go to this metal page right here and not metal tools. Tools is for Blender, and this one is for Final Fantasy 14. So you just want to grab this repo link and install it to Dalamud. I'm not going to show how to do that, but it's pretty self-explanatory, and there's quite literally instructions right here on how to do that. So once you do that, you can just simply type metal in the chat, and then you're gonna have this drop down here, and you're gonna be able to select your character. And basically, after doing that, you can either export with all attaches. So this is gonna export, your weapons, your mounts, minions, and all that stuff. But for right now, I'm actually just gonna hit this one. It's basically going to extract my character just as it is on the screen here. So I'll just do export all models, and then I will do export, and then you're just going to make a directory for where you want to put it. So for now, I think I'm just going to create a new one, just name it metal, press OK, And then we're just gonna press OK once more. And you'll see up here it's exporting in progress. And after that, you're gonna get your file, and you should be good to go after that. So we can just X out of that, X out of this, and basically at this point you're done with Final Fantasy. You can actually close the game if you need to. So I'm gonna do that really quick, and I'll see you guys when we get into Blender. Alright, so once we're here in Blender, we can go ahead and import our character that we extracted from the game. You want to make sure you're on the Aetherblend plugin section right here. If you don't see this section on the right, you can just press N on your keyboard, or you can just open it up with that. So I'm just going to do that. We'll do import character, and then we're going to navigate to where we exported it. So for me, it's on my desktop, so we'll double click this, and we'll click the .gltf file. And then if you want to mess with any of these settings, that's up to you. I just leave everything default. But then we're going to go ahead and import character, and it's just going to take a sec to load everything up. So it says it imported and import and processed successfully. So that's a good sign. And next you'll see your character right here in Blender, just as we exported it from the game. And then, yeah, so what I do here is we have the rig. I don't think any of it, yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to pose it like this, that is completely fine. It's just gonna take a while, but I personally prefer to generate the rig from the plugin here. So I'm just gonna click armature, and I'm just literally gonna hit generate rig. And it's just gonna take a sec to do its thing. All right, so then after hitting generate rig, we're gonna see this new window here on the right. This basically is just a window that's showing all the different controls that this rig includes. So you have, stuff for your face, like this, miscellaneous ones, tweak controls, and just all that stuff that you can just turn on from here. If this looks unfamiliar to any of you guys, basically all these lines are just things you can use in pose mode right up here to control, and then if you press G, you can start moving it. And the reason why it's like this is like we use this kind of rig called like inverse kinematics to basically make it easier to animate basically any character. That's why there are special rigs designed like this. It just makes posing way easier than if you're just using the simple stick bones. So it really is actually super useful. I think the only thing I'm going to turn on right now is just fingers. But yeah, once you got your character going, you got your rig right here, you can basically just start going ahead and using pose mode to make any kind of pose that you want to use. And keep in mind you can, use your gizmos to, control stuff around. You can use the G key if that's what you prefer. But I'm just going to make a simple pose here. So I'll speed up this portion of the video, but not really anything too crazy. Again, you just have all your stuff here if you want to change it, but I'm not going to change too much. I'm just going to do a simple pose, and we'll go on to the rendering section. Alright guys, so once you got your character in a spot where you're kind of okay with the pose or whatever you'd like, we can basically go ahead and start rendering it and kind of just adding some basic lighting. So first thing I'd do is make a new collection, and then we can press Shift A, and we can add a camera, and then, sorry, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna select the collection first, then I'll add camera, so that way it's inside this collection. And basically all you wanna do is just you can basically kind of line up your viewport display. Sorry, I'm like using my hands. I'll use my mouse. You can line up your viewport display to like wherever you want it to be centered at. And then while the camera is selected, so click up here, you can go to View, Align View, Align Active Camera to View. So now this boundary is what Blender is going to render uh, for the actual, render itself. So what you can do at this point is if you want to modify this, you can use these settings here in the camera to kind of change, you can do like orthographic if you want to do a really flat, image, or you can just do perspective. You can also modify your resolution. So if you want it to be like portrait instead of landscape, you could do that. So I'm actually going to do that really quick. So do something like this. Or you can even just make it like a square photo. I think I'll just do like 1,000 by 1,000. And I'm just going to crop it kind of like that. And then I'll bump up my focal length. And then here's another cool tip you can use. So while you have your camera selected, if you press G, you can actually move it around. So if I press G and then X or Z or Y, so again, press G, then you can press Y, you can move it on this axis. You can do G and Z to go in and out, and then G and X to move it side to side. So it's something that's pretty cool that you can actually do. I'm just gonna do like this for now, kind of just a basic pose. And then next thing we're gonna want to do is basically just add a little bit of some lighting. And when we come out here, we can actually see how the camera looks. So for right now, I'm just gonna hide it because it's kind of in the way, but next we can kind of start building our lighting. So in the same collection, I'm just gonna do Shift A, and then you can go to Light. And then basically this is kind of up to your own personal preference, but there's a bunch of different lighting sources you can add. I usually go for area's pretty good. And then, yeah, you can basically just start adding that in and customizing that. If you want to see what it looks like, here's the big thing when it comes to rendering. You have these engines called EV, Workbench, and Cycles. I cannot tell you what Workbench does. I've never used it, but I can at least tell you that EV, the rendering is much faster on it. However, I guess the way I can kind of describe it is that Cycles is like a little bit more realistic and it requires a lot more sampling to get your final render. So if you prefer just a quick render, you could do EV. And then if you want a nicer looking, kind of I guess I would say a nicer looking, more realistic one, I'd go with Cycles. Just keep in mind you're definitely going to have to, change your device to your GPU. And when you hit render mode up here, it's going to take a lot longer. So you can see like there's all these like pixels, those are like your samples. But you can see you get those nice like dark shadows and stuff like that, as opposed to EV, which is kind of like I kind of would say it's a little bit more flat. You could definitely Google the differences, but I would say just experiment and see what works for you. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, for the purpose of this video, I'll just go with EV. And then I'm just going to modify my light source a little bit so I can use this little yellow ball in the area light to kind of point it towards my character. I can, kind of change the color a bit if I want to. Nothing too crazy. I'll probably just do like this greenish color. And then I'll also add, I'm gonna press Shift D, and I'll duplicate this. Kind of just go at like a different perspective and kind of just play around with my lighting a little bit. He is green for an amazing reason, as they say. I'm actually just gonna make these white because the green looks kind of weird, but you can definitely like play with your own lighting and like do some really cool stuff. Actually low key, that's actually kind of cool. I like that. And then maybe like this one. low-key got some bisexual lighting going on, but yeah. Shout out to all my bisexuals. But anyways, you can pretty much just do that, and then I guess however you like your lighting, um, you can just do it based off that. So I think I'm gonna go with this just for now. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. You can obviously spend hours on lighting and stuff like that. Um, but really quick, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. If you really want to make your renders look really good, um, you can come over to here to the compositing tab. And what I have done here is I created a very basic node setup that kind of adds a vignette and some glare to like, our light, so it kind of makes it pop a little bit. Um, it should be viewable right here, but I don't know why it isn't. You're usually able to preview like what your screen looks like right here. I don't know why it's not working. I'm not exactly sure if it's something related to the scene or what, but for some reason I can't get it to work. It might just because of my node setup or something. Yeah, I don't really know. But anyways, you can definitely like play around with these. You do Shift A and you can add in just so many nodes and stuff like that to make your renders look like absolutely amazing. But if you want to just copy mine, you just start with a render layer, then denoise, and then I added a little bit of color balance with a glare, with fog glow and medium quality. I have these settings for threshold smoothness, and then I adjusted the strength and saturation, and then this is glare size. Then I also had a vignette and just a group output and a viewer. I swear the viewer is supposed to be like what actually makes it work, but for some reason it really just isn't. So I apologize about that. You're usually able to see your whole render right here in the middle of the screen. But anyways, um, yeah. So once you got it here, and you're ready to go, you can literally just press F12 and boom, there it is. There's my super cool render of my character from Final Fantasy in Blender. And he's got his cool lighting, and it's got my compositing right here. I think the vignette is a bit strong, so I'd probably, oh, cool, look. Okay, sweet. I have no idea why it's working now, but it is. So yeah, you can like literally just like adjust your thing. Um, I'd probably feather this out like a bit more, but it's kind of cool. It looks like a like old school photo. And then you can also use this area to kind of tweak like your glare if you really want to like change it or anything like that. Could bump up the strength. I don't even know if the glare is working. I can see that the vignette is working, but yeah. Um, anyways, this is really, I won't bother changing this stuff. Again, this isn't here by default. I think you have to click new and then you just start doing it here. But since I pasted it in from another project, it's I've copy and pasted it basically. So yeah, I think we're good to go. I don't really have much else to say. Um, it definitely takes a little bit of practice to do your rig, um, to get the pose you want, to make things look like natural. Um, so definitely like don't give up. Just keep playing around with it. Um, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do, making fun renders or like fan art or anything like that, or even just using this as like a drawing reference. Like if you need to like make a pose and like, kind of draw the pose. I think that's like a really cool thing you can do in Blender. So like the possibilities are really endless. And I think I've basically covered everything that's really need to be said for this tutorial. So if you guys have any like questions or need like any tips maybe for rendering in like cycles, because I know I didn't go over that. Um, definitely you need to play around with like sampling, denoising, all that stuff. It kind of gets a little bit crazy, but yeah, if you need any tips, just drop a comment. I'll see what I can do. And then yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you guys next week in our final part of the series where we do we're probably actually going to go over the VR chat section, which is really exciting. I love VR chat, so I'll be really happy to share with you guys how to get our character into VR chat and all that good stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, weekend, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. All right, so once you're back in Blender here, you can basically just go ahead and import your model. So if I press N, I can open up. God fucking damn it. Why did nothing save? Alright, hi everyone. So in today's video, I was going to go over how we can basically